All right, next up, the Biz team, Coyotes. Last season, 70 points, 7th in the Central, 27th out of 32 teams. Last time they were in the playoffs was 2020, 130 to 1 to win the Cup. Lots of new faces down there this year. Logan Cooley, unreal rookie we're going to see this year. Jason Zucker, Matt Dumba, Sean Dursey, Alex Kerfoot, Nick Bugstad, Troy Stetcher, Travis Dermott, Zach Sanford. This is a team, Biz. I talked to you the other day, man. Like, guys are kind of gravitating to this team. Like, we have fun when we goof on the stadium and all that shit, but there's something like it feels like they're building here, Biz. Am I wrong here or what?
Unbelievable young talent, and probably the most excited I've been for a Coyote season in a long time. Like with all those young names you mentioned, like Michelli last year, like he was dancing everywhere. Great playmaker, great puck control. He's a fucking unbelievable passer. You just mentioned Logan Cooley. When I was over with Nick Schmaltz the other night, he said like highest talent he's seen out of a young guy come up in this organization just like naturally in a long time. So you got him in the mix. Obviously, he's going to have his growing pains and he's still got to grow into his body. Gunther, who spent a little bit of time up last year, just a crafty player, really good around the net, maybe a bit undersized, but I mean, that doesn't really matter if you in today's game. It's not as physical as it once was, and they obviously are calling more and more penalties on guys, who are protecting the puck and doing the right things with it. That top line, Barrett Hayton really finally came out of his shell in the second half of the season, playing with Schmaltzy and Kells. So as far as that top line's concerned, I'm excited to see what they can produce. And it just seems to be the same MO over the last 2-3 years with them going out and signing these guys like Zucker. They had Bugstad last year, and then they flipped him at the deadline to Edmonton. I thought he looked great in Edmonton. Very well liked here. So they're basically just collecting those types of guys like Kerfoot as well, where I would imagine that they're going to be very competitive up into the deadline. And then they're going to flip those types of guys for, maybe if you're lucky, a second rounder, the third and fourth round picks. Maybe a little bit thin on the back end, but they got some good young guys in the pipeline. Like I like that JJ Moser. He's a stud.
Pretty solid.
He's solid back there, but once again, plays for the Coyotes, so you don't hear a ton about him.
He's a little older too for his second year. Right?
Yeah, a guy who I'm excited to see, a younger guy is Dursey, who maybe didn't get the ice time to flourish in that offensive defenseman type role with LA because Doughty was there. But he comes over here, and now that Gostisbehere's not here and he's moved on, he's going to be able to get those types of reps. Their goaltending is excellent. They have a great 1-2 punch in that Vejmelka and Ingram. And I said last year, they kind of slap lipstick on a pig sometimes in a non-good way. And that's why we end up drafting, 5th or 6th or 7th overall. We're never getting those high picks. So from a Coyotes fan perspective, I hope they are very relevant and they're playing good hockey, and you see these guys, these younger players kind of elevate their play as the year goes on. But at the deadline, get rid of these other guys for some picks, and then they end up tanking, and they hopefully get a 1st or 2nd overall draft pick because they can't.
It ain't gonna happen, dude.
You can't keep staying in this limbo area. You can't. You got to get some other players to complement these other guys that you have coming in, and hopefully it sucked though because these other guys that they drafted this year, the two Russian kids who were playing in the KHL, because they're on KHL contracts, they couldn't come over here and participate in training camp or even playing any exhibition games. So you really don't know what you got until they're able to step foot on North American soil and show their stuff, but. Bill Armstrong's known for his drafting and developing, and obviously from what we're seeing with these young prospects coming up, like the Gunthers and the Michellis and those types of players, he has a pretty good track record. So overall, I'm okay with the way that he's going and the plan that he has, but we all know that they're not making playoffs. My biggest thing is making sure that they sell off at the deadline and they really do a good job of tanking and solidify a top 2 pick.
I think they're way better than people realize, and I think they're not even close to a top 3 pick this year. I will say, if you look at their amazing record at home last year, that may not be the same with team's second season coming in and playing.
It's like Vegas, right? Remember first year Vegas? I think they won every fucking home game.
Yeah. So the Vegas was the sorority flu.
I know, but the team's pretty good. I mean, Clayton Keller's sick. I love watching him play. I think Logan Cooley's going to be right up there for Rookie of the Year. It almost seems to be a little bit of a mistake in terms of they're not that bad at all. They're going to be competing and be hard to play against. and they need these more talented picks. But the argument is that they've done that for so long and been so bad. They have to have some relevancy, and maybe like that gives them a better chance of sticking around in Arizona if they're a better team. So it's really hard to argue that like they should just be tanking because they've been so bad for so long. But they'll be a pain in the ass to play against. I mean, and Biz, the goaltending is what you say that's interesting. They can make a ton of saves, and this team can win a good amount of games. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see them start off and look like in a playoff spot around Thanksgiving.
Well, the one thing they have going for them is I think we can all agree this is the weakest division this year, and there's a lot of teams in limbo. I have
three real good teams.
I have 5 teams from the Pacific making it. I only have 3 teams, obviously, in this division making it. So I just these are all going to be cusp teams, and I think that they can definitely pick a lot of points off those bottom feeders like the Chicago Blackhawks. I don't really want to call St. Louis a bottom feeder because we're going to get to them, but the teams that are in limbo as well, like the Nashvilles and
they're better than Winnipeg.
Oh, I would definitely say they're better than Winnipeg.
I mean, Hellebuck and Scheifele, and obviously there's some guys with the guys they got from LA, but I look at Arizona and Winnipeg. Who would you rather be right now? Coyotes in a landslide.
And I also don't think that they have a lot of picks in the next few years, Winnipeg, outside of what they were already given.
Yeah, we'll get to that a little bit later. Merles, what's your take on the Yotes this year, and do they make the playoffs?
No, I got them out of the playoffs. I got them so low just because I couldn't put them above St. Louis. I couldn't put them out above the Jets until they proved me otherwise. As a gambler, a great little spot, though, to look for them is at home. A lot of teams go from Vegas or Colorado and then have to go there and play them. So that's a great spot to try to catch a team on a back-to-back. You always get fantastic odds on the Yotes at home.
Yeah, 21-15-5 at home last year. They love playing for the coach too, Biz. I noticed Andre Turigny. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think though it's going to be tough to make up to the 25-point difference they were out of the playoffs last year, but Cooley and Keller are going to lead them. I know G had a little something on Logan Cooley for us. What do you got for us, G?
Oh, here. He's going to be going Pittsburgh fan. Double wrister.
No, I was just going to say I love Logan Cooley. I love this Arizona team. I like what they're building. I don't think they'll be in the playoffs, but I think they'll be in the mix at the end of the season. But I'm sprinkling a little bit on Logan Cooley to win the Calder. I love this kid, especially what we saw last year at Minnesota, what we saw in the games over in Australia. I think 10-1 is good money.
Wow. I mean, it should be a final. So we got that goal, too. We got to talk about that goal, man. Like, Biz, I think did you see it live? Did you see the GIF on the internet? Where did you see that goal first?
That night it was all over the internet, right? And that was when they were doing their promotional game over in Australia, game 1. And he can dance, man. That's why I said when I was talking to Schmaltzy, he said as far as natural talent, like for a kid coming into his age, it's some of the best he's ever seen. So I don't disagree, G. And he's also playing in that second line role, so he'll have better, he'll have easier matchups than a guy, let's say like Bedard, who's kind of going to be exposed to every first line center in the league, which we know, man, going against some of these first line center in the Western Conference, man, it's a fucking grind night in and night out.
Yeah, that goes when you jump out of your seat. And I call my wife. She's like over hockey after my job for the last several years, but even she was like taken aback when she saw that thing. Just an unreal sick move. So yeah, keep an eye on the Coyotes this year.